You know, I moved here in 1989 with my kids. They were just little back then from Minnesota. One of the first things I remember doing was going to the Royal Gorge, walking across the bridge, getting to the Minnesota sign, and having my kids look down and see.
I remember within weeks of first getting here to Colorado, we made that trip down to Canyon City, went to the Royal Gorge.
Whenever you have people visiting, or whenever you think about what do you do with people, or what do you tell people to do, it's like, oh, go to the Royal Gorge, or you know, it's just one of those things.
So I'd been there before 2 times, and I don't know, it still amazes me just like that there's this canyon, and that it's so pretty, and it's kind of like in the middle of the nowhere, and I don't know, being able to walk across it, like I love heights, and just being able to look down and see the river below, it just amazes me every time.
The Royal Gorge is 3-in-1. You can ride the train through along the river and see it from that perspective. You could go down on the incline and you could actually walk around down by the river, or you could go across the bridge and see both sides of the gorge. So all of those tied together are a phenomenal way of seeing nature at its best.
I had an occasion to ride the Inclined Railway, able to go down to the actual river surface, and enjoyed that experience immensely.
And then my little boy wanted to go on the incline train. It was one of the first times that I remember him turning to me and going, "Mom, we live in Colorado." And that's a memory I'll never forget.
It was maybe the highlight of being able to use the incline to, for the first time, get down to enjoy being just feet away from the actual rushing river going through the gorge.
Really the only thing that I remember vividly from that first visit to the Royal Gorge was the trip down that inclined railway, down into the gorge, and looking back up and seeing the bridge up above me.
Going down it was really cool. I'd never been on anything like that. It was just so steep, and it was really cool. The part I remember the most, or the best part, was that when you got to the bottom, you got to look up where you'd been standing before, and it was just amazing again to see like the heights of the canyon.
It was so unfamiliar with me. I didn't know what we were doing, and I didn't understand it because I was just a kid. It came to be then that was the best part about the park, was we wanted to go down all the way down to the bottom and everything, and then it looked even more majestic looking up than it did looking down.
The original Inclined Railway ran for 82 years.
That kind of blows my mind. It's crazy how so long ago they built this amazing railway that was so steep, and it was just a marvel that it was just a huge feat, especially for that time.
I'm sure that the sense of accomplishment when it was finished was really remarkable. In 2013, a wildfire came through and took away most of the Royal Gorge Park, including the incline.
June 11th, the news broke out that the fires in Fremont County had reached the Royal Gorge area, and they were in immense danger. They were evacuating, and there was a really high risk that things were going to burn down, and they did.
I vividly remember one newscast that was like right across the street, or right across Highway 50, very close to the turnoff for the Royal Gorge. And you could just see the orange glow from the flames back behind him, and he was reporting, actually incorrectly at the time, that the Inclined Railway was intact. We obviously found out a few days later that it had been lost.
You think of all these things as just always being there, especially when you are experiencing them from a very young age and you just continue to experience them.
I was devastated. I was super sad. I mean, any fire is destructive, but especially that it like burnt down this place that I'd been to before and had this beautiful memory of, and just now that it was gone, it was hard to imagine.
My daughter was born in October, so just a few months after that fire, and I remember thinking just days after she was born about specifically that Inclined Railway, again, my most vivid memory from my first visit. And it broke my heart to think that she would never make that trip like I did.
There's very little in life that prepares you for that kind of event. Seeing a home or a visitor center, reduced to a small pile of rubble is a pretty sobering event.
In 2016, the park received bids to maybe build a chairlift or some sort of replacement for the Inclined Railway. But based on these bids, they deemed the project impossible because they just didn't have the funds.
I would love to see the incline railway brought back.
I do absolutely think the park is suffering without having that funicular, having that incline railway, and that whole different area of the park that's just inaccessible now, but so ingrained in so many of our memories.
Today, most of the park is rebuilt, but we still don't have the incline railway. I think it's something that we all miss.
We need to put this back together, and we need to put it back together in a way that it will be a phenomenal display for many years to come.
It's critical that we come together, those of us that live here, as well as those companies that work here, and the companies that benefit from tourism.
The original incline railway had 2 cars running up and down the side of the gorge for 82 years. 5 years later, those cars are still in the same exact spot they were when the park was evacuated. It's time we did something.
We've waited long enough.
This is a call to action.
This is a call to action.
You know, we're up to something big.
Despite the tragedy, we are presented with a unique opportunity to not only rebuild, but to modernize the incline railway.
We are the Bachelors of Innovation degree at UCCS, and we are taking a stand for the Royal Gorge.
We are declaring the possibility of rebuilding the incline railway.
We need your help to bring back this important part of Colorado history.
We need to bring back this point of pride.
Wouldn't it be amazing to be a part of something like that?
We need someone to step up and work with our teams and the Royal Gorge to make this happen.
The incline railway was taken from us 5 years ago, and it's time to get it back.
Please reach out to the Bachelors of Innovation so that we can work together to make this a reality.